The wonders of France. Imagine waking up to the scent of fresh croissants, the distant toll of a church bell, and golden sunlight pouring over cobblestone streets. Welcome to France, but not the version you've seen 1,000 times on postcards. In this journey, we'll go beyond the clichés. Yes, we'll stop by the Eiffel Tower and sip wine in Parisian cafés. But France is so much more than just its capital. Think medieval hilltop villages tucked into lavender fields, dramatic coastlines where the Alps plunge into the sea, rebellious revolutions that shook the world, and a way of life that turns even the simplest lunch into a celebration. From the opulence of Versailles to the quiet charm of Annecy, from the glitz of Cannes to the rustic magic of Bordeaux, this country seduces the soul in ways you never expect. So let me ask you this: would you ever trade your life for a vineyard in Provence? Or a tiny apartment in Paris with a balcony full of flowers? 'Cause by the end of this documentary, you just might. Let's begin our journey through the wonders of France. Now let's zoom out for a moment and take a look at where France truly sits on the world map. France is the geographical heart of Western Europe, and it shows. Bordered by 8 countries, including Germany, Italy, Spain, and Switzerland, it's one of the most connected nations in the region. Whether by rail, air, or scenic highways, France is both a crossroads and a destination. But France isn't just landlocked in Europe, it's a maritime powerhouse too. To the west, the Atlantic Ocean hugs its rugged coastlines, while the south opens up to the warm Mediterranean Sea, offering sun-drenched beaches, yacht-studded harbors, and ancient port towns like Marseille and Nice. To the east, you'll find the towering Alps, perfect for skiers and adventurers, while the north is shaped by gently rolling plains and storybook villages. This regional diversity is what makes France feel like multiple countries in one. You can be snowshoeing in Chamonix in the morning and sipping rose by the Riviera in the evening. And let's not forget France's global footprint, with overseas territories like French Guiana in South America, Réunion in the Indian Ocean, and even islands in the Pacific. These extend France's influence far beyond Europe, making it a truly global republic. In short, whether you're exploring the vineyards of Bordeaux or the coral reefs of New Caledonia, you're still somehow in France. Ready to dive into how all this shaped its history and identity? Let's move on. France's story reads like an epic novel, one filled with empires, upheavals, romance, and revolution. It all began with the Gauls, fierce Celtic tribes who roamed the forests and hills long before the Roman legions arrived. Then came Julius Caesar, bringing Roman roads, aqueducts, and architecture, some of which still stand today. But that was only the prologue. As centuries passed, France became a land of monarchs and cathedrals. From the reign of Charlemagne, who ruled a vast European empire, to the opulence of Louis XIV, the Sun King, who built Versailles to reflect his divine glory, France was a kingdom that shaped European power and prestige. But then, everything changed. In 1789, the French people said, "Non to tyranny," and the French Revolution exploded into the streets of Paris. Cry of liberté, égalité, fraternité shook not just the monarchy but the entire world. Guillotines, stormed prisons, and declarations of human rights ignited a movement for democracy that still echoes today. This wasn't just a political revolution, it was a cultural one too. France went on to become the cradle of enlightenment and modern thought. Thinkers like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Descartes redefined philosophy, reason, and liberty. Artists like Monet and Degas captured light and feeling on canvas in ways the world had never seen. And let's not forget haute couture, Bordeaux wines, and Michelin-starred cuisine, all born from a culture that elevates living into an art form. From Notre Dame's stained glass to Sartre's existentialism, from baguettes to ballet, France doesn't just preserve culture, creates it. So as we continue our journey, remember, in France, every village, every museum, every plate of food carries the weight of centuries. Now, ready to meet the people behind this timeless culture? Let's explore the French lifestyle. What's it really like to live in France? Let's slow things down just like the French do. In France, life isn't rushed. Sipped, savored, and discussed, often over a tiny espresso in a sunlit cafe. This is a country where long lunches aren't an indulgence, they're a tradition. Where bakeries open early, but stores close on Sundays because rest and rhythm matter just as much as routine. This is the essence of the French lifestyle, intentional, balanced, and deeply rooted in values. The motto Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité isn't just a relic from history. It's lived every day. Whether it's the right to protest, which the French embrace proudly and passionately, or access to quality healthcare and education, the belief in fairness and freedom runs deep in French society. You'll find it in how people treat each other, in conversations that prioritize intellect and individuality, in debates that happen just as naturally at the dinner table as they do in the streets. Work-life balance? It's not a goal here, it's a right. With strict labor laws, generous vacation time, and a cultural refusal to glorify overwork, the French have mastered the art of living well. And let's not forget the importance of community. From small-town weekly markets to citywide festivals, life here is designed to bring people together, not rush them apart. So if you're used to fast food, faster commutes, and hustle culture, France might just feel like a breath of fresh air. But don't relax just yet, because now we're heading into the landscapes that make France truly magical. Close your eyes and picture France. What do you see? Maybe it's snow-capped peaks piercing the clouds. Maybe it's endless rows of lavender dancing in the Provençal breeze. Or perhaps it's sun-kissed beaches where turquoise waves gently meet the Mediterranean coast. Whatever comes to mind, you're right, because France is one of the most geographically diverse countries in Europe. To the east, the mighty Alps dominate the skyline, home to Mont Blanc, the highest peak in Western Europe. It's a haven for skiers, hikers, and mountaineers alike. Further south, the Pyrenees form a dramatic border with Spain, where mountain passes hide remote villages and Basque traditions. Then there's the French Riviera, or as the French say, La Côte d'Azur. Glamorous, sun-soaked, and absolutely cinematic. From the pastel towns of Nice to the luxury of Saint-Tropez, the Mediterranean coast glows with timeless beauty. But France's charm isn't just in the big landscapes, it's in the quiet ones too. Drive through the Loire Valley and you'll pass fairy tale castles and endless vineyards. Walk through Provence, and you'll be greeted by waves of lavender fields and the buzz of cicadas. Travel to Normandy, and the cliffs will whisper tales of both Viking raids and D-Day landings. And if you're a nature lover, you'll find over 10 national parks, from the rugged Vanoise in the Alps to the volcanic terrain of Auvergne. France also boasts several UNESCO biosphere reserves, protecting its wetlands, alpine lakes, and rare wildlife. What makes France special isn't just its beauty, it's how accessible and varied that beauty is. In a single trip, you can ski, swim, hike, and stroll through rolling vineyards, all without ever leaving the country. And while the land is stunning, so is the human achievement built upon it. Next, let's explore how France stands in the modern world, through its education and economy. France isn't just a land of history and beauty, it's a hub of intellect, innovation, and influence. Let's start with education. Home to some of the world's most prestigious institutions, France has long been a beacon for students and scholars. The Sorbonne in Paris, nearly 800 years old, remains a pillar of classical learning. Sciences shapes the minds of future politicians and global leaders. And INSEAD, consistently ranked among the top global business schools, attracts executives from every continent. But don't let the charm of ivy-covered campuses fool you, France is also deeply modern. In Paris, you'll find Station F, the largest startup incubator in the world. It's a futuristic space fostering digital innovation, tech entrepreneurship, and a new wave of thinkers reshaping the global economy. And speaking of global, France is a heavyweight in major industries. Aerospace? France is the proud home of Airbus, a direct competitor to Boeing and a leader in aircraft manufacturing. Nuclear energy? France is one of the few countries to generate over 70% of its electricity from nuclear power, clean, efficient, and surprisingly futuristic. Fashion and luxury? Paris is the capital. Enough said. Brands like Chanel, Dior, and Louis Vuitton don't just dominate runways, they shape global trends. Economically, France is a top 5 economy in the European Union and among the largest in the world. Plays a central role in EU policymaking, international trade, and climate leadership. From its high-speed rail networks to its cutting-edge R&D, France combines tradition with transformation. And here's the best part. World-class education here is highly subsidized, even for international students, which makes France not only influential but incredibly accessible. Coming up next, let's explore how faith, philosophy, and language shape everyday life. To understand France, you need to understand how faith and language shape and sometimes challenge its national identity. Let's start with religion. France has deep Catholic roots. For centuries, cathedrals like Notre Dame and Chartres stood not just as places of worship, but as political and cultural symbols. But modern France is proudly secular, a principle known as laicite. Laicite isn't just a law, it's a philosophy. It means the state and religion are strictly separate. No religious influence in government. No prayer in public schools. And while everyone is free to believe and practice, faith remains a private matter in public spaces. This creates an environment where churches, mosques, synagogues, and temples coexist, but the public sphere remains neutral. Over the past few decades, France's religious makeup has become more diverse. A growing Muslim population, largely from North and West Africa, now forms the second-largest faith group. There are also vibrant Jewish, Protestant, Buddhist, and non-religious communities. The result? A cultural mix that's sometimes complex but always dynamic. Now, let's talk about something the French hold just as sacred: their language. The French language is more than communication, it's a source of pride, identity, and cultural heritage. The Académie Française, established in 1635, still works today to preserve the purity of the language and protect it from too many foreign influences, yes, even English. But France isn't monolingual. In fact, the country is home to several regional languages, like Breton in Brittany, Occitan in the south, Alsatian in the northeast, and Corsican on the island of Corsica. These are taught in schools, celebrated in festivals, and slowly making a comeback. So whether you're listening to street musicians in Paris, farmers in Gascony, or storytellers in Provence, you're hearing more than just words. You're hearing the rich, layered voice of France. And now, let's shift from voice to vision as we explore France's unforgettable tourist attractions. Now we arrive at the part that sparks daydreams, France's iconic attractions. And trust me, they're more than worth the hype. Let's start where most stories do, Paris. The Eiffel Tower, rising above the city like an iron crown, is more than a symbol, it's an experience. Whether you're admiring it from the Champs de Mars, climbing its staircases, or watching it sparkle at night, it never loses its magic. Just a short walk away lies the Louvre, the most visited museum in the world. Home to the Mona Lisa, Venus de Milo, and over 35,000 other masterpieces, it's a place where human creativity across centuries converges under one massive glass pyramid. Step outside Paris, and the wonders keep coming. How about an island crowned by a medieval abbey that looks straight out of a fantasy novel? That's Mont Saint-Michel, rising from the sea in Normandy. It's not just photogenic, it's unforgettable. Then there's Château de Versailles, where golden gates open to lavish halls and manicured gardens, a palace so grand it once represented the height of European monarchy. Touring its Hall of Mirrors or strolling through its endless fountains is like walking through the pages of history. Craving sunshine? Head south to the French Riviera, where cities like Nice, Cannes, and Monaco blend old-world elegance with Mediterranean glamour. Whether you're sunbathing on a beach or people watching on a palm-lined promenade, life feels cinematic here. For wine lovers, the vineyard trails of Bordeaux and Burgundy offer more than just tasting. They're journeys through ancient terroir, charming villages, and cellar doors steeped in tradition. Thrill seekers? You're covered. The alpine town of Chamonix, at the foot of Mont Blanc, is a world-class skiing destination and a magnet for mountaineers. And for history buffs, few places are as moving as the Normandy beaches, where World War II turned the tides of history. Walking these shores, you feel the weight of sacrifice and the triumph of courage. And when summer rolls around, the lavender fields of Provence bloom in waves of violet and perfume, drawing visitors into a world of sensory bliss. In France, tourism isn't just sightseeing, it's story living. But what if you want to go deeper, beyond the guidebooks? Let's uncover France's hidden gems next. France may be famous for its big-ticket landmarks, but the real magic? It often lies in the places you've never heard of. Let's start with Annecy, lovingly known as the Venice of the Alps. Tucked into the Haute-Savoie region, this fairy-tale town is crisscrossed by crystal-clear canals and wrapped around a glacial lake so pure it's drinkable. With pastel-colored houses, cobblestone streets, and views of the snow-capped Alps, Annecy feels like a watercolor painting come to life. Now head southwest and you'll arrive in Toulouse, often overlooked but unforgettable. Nicknamed La Ville Rose, the Pink City, its unique terracotta buildings glow with warm hues at sunset. It's a city of aerospace engineers by day and jazz cafes by night, a perfect blend of old soul and youthful energy. Further south, enter a landscape you'd never expect in Europe, the Camargue. Here, wild white horses gallop across salt marshes, pink flamingos wade in shallow lagoons, and black bulls roam freely. Sun-tamed, wind-swept, and unlike anywhere else in France. Looking for something whimsical? Try the floating gardens of Amiens, also known as hortillonages. These lush islands, navigated by quiet wooden boats, have been cultivated since Roman times. Imagine drifting through floral alleys while herons glide overhead. And here's a fun fact that might surprise you. France has more roundabouts than any other country in the world, over 30,000 of them. Some are purely functional, while others feature fountains, sculptures, or even miniature vineyards. It's just one of the quirky ways France blends art with infrastructure. From secret spots to strange statistics, these hidden wonders remind us that in France the surprises never stop. Next, what should you know before visiting? Let's talk safety, etiquette, and cultural cues. Before packing your bags and heading to France, let's talk about something every traveler should know: how to stay safe and blend in like a local. First things first, France is generally a very safe country, especially for tourists. Violent crime is rare and cities are well policed. But, and it's a big but, pickpocketing is common in popular areas like the Eiffel Tower, the Champs-Élysées train stations, and the Paris Metro. Keep your valuables close, use crossbody bags, and stay alert, especially in crowded spots. Now let's talk etiquette, because in France, manners matter. The golden rule? Always start with bonjour. Whether you're entering a shop, asking for directions, or checking into a hotel, a polite greeting can make all the difference. The French value formality, so saying hello and thank you isn't just polite. It's expected. And when it comes to appearance, the French tend to dress with subtle elegance. You don't need to look like you walked out of Vogue, but modesty and neatness go a long way, especially if you want to avoid sticking out as a tourist. Dining? Service is professional but often slower than in the US or UK, not because it's bad, but because meals are meant to be enjoyed, not rushed. Tipping is not mandatory, as service is usually included in the bill, but leaving €1 or €2 is always appreciated for good service. One more tip: avoid loud voices, chewing gum in public, or diving into politics or personal finances in casual conversation. These are seen as culturally inappropriate in many social settings. So remember, a little respect goes a long way. In France, if you act like a guest, you'll be treated like royalty. Now let's dive into the joys of food, shopping, and festivals, the true flavors of France. If France had a love language, it would be food. From flaky croissants pulled fresh from a boulangerie to rich escargots served with garlic butter, every dish in France tells a story, and trust me, it's one worth tasting. This isn't just about cuisine. French gastronomy is literally UNESCO listed as a cultural treasure. Meals here are sacred. Courses unfold slowly, conversations stretch for hours, and no meal is complete without fresh bread, cheese, and a glass of wine, whether it's a Bordeaux red champagne from the Northeast or a chilled rose from Provence. Craving something sweet? Head to a creperie and watch your thin pancake transform into art, filled with Nutella, strawberries, or savory ham and cheese. But it's not just your taste buds that will be indulged, it's your inner fashionista too. Paris Fashion Week is one of the big four globally, where designers unveil trends that ripple across the world. If you can't snag an invite, don't worry, the spirit of style is alive in every boutique, vintage shop, and open-air market. France is also the stage for world-renowned festivals. Cannes Film Festival draws A-listers to the Riviera each May, while Bastille Day, celebrated every July 14th, fills the skies with fireworks and the streets with parades and patriotic pride. And if you want to shop like a local, skip the malls and head for the markets. In Provence, you'll find stalls bursting with lavender, olive oil, and handmade soap. In Paris, hidden passageways lead to antique bookshops, designer finds, and gourmet delights. In France, every day is an invitation to celebrate, through flavors, fashion, and festivals. And if all of this has you thinking about staying longer than a vacation, let's talk about how to work, study, or even live in France. So, what if you fell in love with France and didn't want to leave? Well, good news. France doesn't just welcome tourists, it opens doors for students, professionals, creatives, and dreamers who want to stay longer. Let's start with education. France offers some of the best value higher education in the world, especially for international students. Public universities like Sorbonne and University PSL offer programs in English, and tuition fees are often a fraction of what you'd pay in the US or UK. Once you graduate, you're eligible for a post-study work visa, giving you time to find a job and build a life in France. If you're a freelancer or remote worker, France has quietly become a digital nomad haven. With excellent healthcare, a strong public transport system, and a focus on work-life balance, cities like Lyon, Bordeaux, and even parts of Paris offer great quality of life, with the added charm of café terraces and cobblestone streets. Thinking even more long-term? France offers long-stay visas for retirees looking to enjoy their golden years surrounded by vineyards and village markets, artists and writers who want to find inspiration in the same country that once nurtured Hemingway and Monet, entrepreneurs and business owners, especially those investing in the local economy or launching innovative projects. Of course, visa rules vary, but for citizens of the US and UK, the application process is clear and well supported by consulates and cultural exchange programs. Whether you're planning a semester abroad, a remote work escape, or a life reboot in the French countryside, there's a path for you. Now, before you decide if you could live here, let's compare what it's like for Americans and Brits to adjust to the French lifestyle. So, how does life in France really compare to what viewers from the USA or UK are used to? Let's break it down. First, healthcare. France is home to one of the best-rated healthcare systems in the world, high-quality care that's widely accessible and largely subsidized by the state. For Americans used to hefty insurance premiums, this can feel like a revelation. Even visitors can benefit from affordable medical services through travel insurance or temporary coverage. Then there's education. While top universities in the UK and US can leave students with enormous debt, France offers internationally respected degrees, often at a fraction of the cost, especially in public institutions. And yes, many courses are now available in English. Public transport is another major win. From the TGV high-speed trains that zip across the country to metro systems in cities like Paris, Lyon, and Marseille, getting around without a car is not just possible, it's preferred. Compare that to much of the US, where driving is a necessity, or the UK, where train costs can be steep and services unpredictable. And then there's the pace of life. In France, the motto isn't work hard, play hard, it's work to live, not live to work. The French prioritize balance, long vacations, leisurely lunches, and full weekends. There's less pressure to constantly be productive, and more encouragement to enjoy the moment, a stark contrast to the hustle culture in many parts of the US and UK. So what tends to surprise Americans and Brits the most? That stores often close on Sundays. That people really do greet each other in elevators and shops. That meals can last hours and no one is in a rush. That you rarely see to-go coffee cups because coffee is meant to be sipped, not rushed. In short, France invites you to slow down, look around, and live deliberately. And sometimes that's the biggest culture shock of all in the best way possible. Now for some final fun facts and must-know tips to help you fit right in. Before we wrap up, here are a few fun facts and insider tips to help you blend in and get the most out of your French adventure. Let's start with a truth bomb. French fries? Not French. They're actually Belgian in origin, though you'll still find them served with steak in brasseries all across France. Here's a charming little law you might not expect. In every town or village in France, there must be access to fresh bread, usually within walking distance. That's how seriously the French take their baguettes. In fact, traditional baguette making is recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage. So yes, your morning walk for bread is basically a cultural pilgrimage. When it comes to dinner conversation, here's a tip. Avoid talking about money, your job, or politics, especially when meeting someone for the first time. In France, meals are for savoring, not for stressing. Talk about art, film, books, travel, or just how incredible the cheese is. That's how you win friends here. And if you're planning a trip during summer, keep this in mind: August is vacation month. Many small shops, restaurants, and even some services close down for weeks, as locals head to the countryside or coast for a well-earned break. Paris in August? Quieter than you'd expect. Provence or the Riviera? Packed but in the most beautiful way. A few other curiosities. Public bathrooms are sometimes paid, carry coins just in case. Non doesn't always mean no, it might just mean convince me. And yes, dogs really are allowed in restaurants and often treated better than humans. In France, it's the little things that make the biggest impressions. And once you know them, you're no longer just a tourist. You're part of the rhythm. Now, let's close our journey with one final reflection. As our journey through France comes to a close, take a moment to reflect not just on what you've seen, but how it made you feel. Because France isn't just a destination. It's a state of mind. It's the quiet joy of a morning croissant, the echo of footsteps in a medieval alley, the laughter from a sunlit cafe terrace, the feeling of wonder standing beneath the Eiffel Tower, and the peace of lavender fields stretching as far as the eye can see. Whether you're drawn to the Alps or the Riviera, the vineyards or the villages, France has a way of pulling you in and slowing you down, inviting you to see, feel, and live more deeply. So tell us, what region of France would you visit first? Would you stroll the Seine in Paris? Hike the trails of Chamonix? Or sip wine in the shadow of a Loire Valley chateau? Drop your answer in the comments below. We'd love to hear about your French dream. And if this journey inspired you even just a little, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who dreams of France as much as you do. Merci for joining us, and until next time, bon voyage.